Despite winning a record-setting 9 awards at this year's Game Awards, RPG sensation Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has actually had a few of its awards retracted over its developers' use of generative AI during development. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to cheer on the musicians on the Titanic.
That's right. We might be going down, but at least we have some nice music along the way. I don't know. This is a weird one, and it's going to get weirder before we're done talking about it. But it is nice. It is nice to see an organization standing up for its principles, even if you got to wonder where this is headed and how, I don't know, those hairs are getting microscopic to split apart at this point.
The Indie Game Awards, notably not the Game Awards, announced last Saturday that they officially retracted Clair Obscur Expedition 33's debut game and Game of the Year awards.
61 Indie, that's the organization that runs the Indie Game Awards. Their creative director, Mike Towndrow, put on his fanciest, most formal hoodie to explain that whomever submitted the game for consideration agreed that no generative AI was used in its making. But that is not the case with Expedition 33.
Even back in April, players noticed the game shipped with AI-generated textures. I remember this story, that were later replaced with customized assets. So a July article on Spanish outlet El País also quotes Clair Obscur producer Francois Maurice as saying, quote, "We use some AI, but not much."
Yeah, so it was out there, but, kind of forgotten. Also, everybody wants to like Expedition 33, so I think a lot of those things just got ignored for a bit. But according to Towndrow, this disqualifies the game from both awards, with each going to the next highest ranked game in each category.
Okay, debut game is now awarded to Sorry, We're Closed, and Game of the Year is now Blueprints.
Great game, yeah. Towndrow says that the winners have been notified and acceptance speeches will be shared eventually, but there's no rush due to the pending holiday season.
That's why I was wearing the hoodie. Because it's cold outside.
It's cold out there in SoCal.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, where are they located? It's the hoodie plus shorts. That's a very SoCal winter outfit, so I just assumed. New York City? Whoa.
So all of this is dramatic enough on its own, but believe it or not, the Indie Game Awards isn't done yanking awards out of people's hands just yet.
Yeah, they had one more award to yank back. Gorton Code won an Indie Vanguard Award for developing the Game Boy game Chanty.
Unfortunately for Code, the game's physical card is being produced and sold by Mod Retro, a company owned by former Oculus founder Palmer Luckey. So Palmer Luckey also owns the private military company Anduril Industries, which, yes, is obviously named after Lord of the Rings. I think it's a sword, Anduril. Mod Retro recently announced a retro handheld made out of the same metal as attack drones.
Yeah, so the publisher is collaborating with an arms dealer because they're owned by the same person. Those ties, however distant, are simply too unsavory for the Indie Game Awards, as Towndrow explains here.
With the news breaking of their horrid and disgusting handheld the day after the premiere, the IGA's nomination committee learned about Mod Retro's vile nature. As the company strictly goes against the values of the IGA's, due to the ties the game has to Mod Retro, Chanty's Indie Vanguard recognition has officially been retracted.
The Indie Game Awards FAQ reinforces that this isn't meant to be a reproach of Code or their work, saying, quote, "The decision does not reflect Gorton Code, but Mod Retro alone. Chanty remains a wonderful throwback to the Game Boy era. We encourage you to continue following their journey on itch.io.
I'm sure Chanty is a wonderful game. I am tired of following anyone's journey about anything. I'm sorry, but I'm sick of that phrase. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just had to get that off my chest. Gorton Code actually published a response to this announcement yesterday, stating that they submitted the game through all the normal channels and overtly disclosed Mod Retro as their publisher through the entire process.
Ooh, I like they're fighting back. They write, quote, "Mike himself personally commended me for the shout out to Mod Retro on an email I received from him on November 26th, almost a full month before the awards were to air. Based on the IGA's the Indie Game Awards values on which my game's award was retracted, Mike and the 6-1 Indie team could have taken action back then and save all of us the embarrassment of today. However, they either did not care at the time, that sounds about right, or weren't really interested enough in the game to look up some basic information about it."
Yeah, there's some harsh words, and I don't blame them because it is a bit of an embarrassment to be singled out that way. Gorton Code goes on to accuse Mike of, quote, collecting his precious internet karma with his public statement and suggest that 6-1 Indie provide a monthly list of which indies they will tolerate. Which is pretty good. Yeah. So at least they're getting out there and saying their piece, which I appreciate. And there's some pretty firm words for being wrapped up in all this. I don't know. I feel like there's two issues here. One is, I don't know, they're both kind of fuzzy if you think them through. So the first one is, and then this is related to Expedition 33, is generative AI in game development inevitable? And a lot of game developers are saying yes, and it's a bit silly to even be drawing distinctions now. But certainly in the indie scene, you can see how it's seen as more of an existential threat, and they want to make more of a statement about it. This is how they're choosing to do it. So I don't know. Bruce, what do you make of all this? I feel like you're always so practical with your outlook.
Man, geez, I have really been thinking a lot about this because we've been reporting every other story now is AI and about how people are mad about AI, especially artists. And this is something that I've started thinking about. I don't use AI in literally anything that I do. Titling YouTube videos or making thumbnails, none of that stuff. I don't know if somebody else does in our production process. I can only speak for myself. That said, what I've been thinking about when it comes to AI in general is I would love to see AI make logistics easier for all of us. Logical things like, schedules and shit like that. Not creating art. I don't necessarily think that AI should be creating art, especially since it was, again, scouring the internet for copywritten works, and then it stole those and is now sort of regurgitating them. I don't like any of that. So it is, the more that I think about this, the more it bothers me that AI is creating art and then it's accidentally getting into video games like Expedition 33. Whatever, accidentally or intentionally, I'm not sure. So I do think that there is going to come a time here, and probably in the next few years, where there's going to be a pendulum swing back towards no AI at all. Because I really do think that the more and more that Lawrence and I talk about this, the more I hear these fucking billionaires talk about how much they love AI. If billionaires are talking about the things that they love, it's because they're going to make more fucking money. All right? We all know it. So I think it's a problem when billionaires are saying, oh my gosh, I love AI. I can't wait. I'm so excited to be able to lay more people off and make more money because then we have a computer do it. Like, I think that is a huge red flag. And I'm starting to really worry about AI in everything, and it does not make me feel good. It might be in an inevitability at some point. AI might be in everything, but I'd rather see it for logistics and not art.
Yes, I think most people would agree with that. I think ironically, the best sales pitch for AI in game dev came from Sven Vinke. Yeah, he got in trouble for being quoted in a recent article from Bloomberg about AI, but kind of the better phrase that he used a while ago, and I'm trying to find the exact thing, but the sentiment will carry through whether or not the words are accurate. He basically said, we're using AI to do the work nobody wants to do. And yeah, to me that translates to logistics. It's busy work. It's stuff that doesn't require any spark of human creativity. But there's no easy dividing line there, right? Between the work that is tedious, the work that might lead to, an epiphany, the work that we may not even know is vital to the creative process that we're aching to get rid of. Yeah, there's maybe some paperwork stuff that I wouldn't mind not doing anymore, but I still do it because I feel like I want that direct understanding of the guts of how my business operates and how my world operates. Some people are, I guess, more okay abstracting that out. That can be a personal decision, but yeah, I think what we've already seen is that there's a right and a wrong way to use it. I think the way that billionaires talk about AI is the wrong way, and I think everybody kind of feels that in their bones. Billionaires just see AI as cost reduction. I have to employ fewer people to get more product. We as consumers see AI as only turning up the volume on the static around us all the time, the misinformation, the meaningless art. I think we're already so awash in that, the Netflix shows that are simply produced to be listened to and not watched. So the video, like half of the production is an obligation. And when you assume that the audience doesn't care and you make content for an audience that doesn't care, you're probably not going to care much about it yourself. So we're already kind of tired of that stuff, at least I am. So to think that even fewer humans that care even less are going to be involved in this process is even more annoying. And yet, a game that did use generative AI, Expedition 33, is the one that made everyone feel. So its use of AI didn't invalidate its artistic merit, even if it did, apparently in the Indie Game Awards' eyes. So there's ways for humanity to coexist with this in the way that, we have film and TV that uses fake imagery that can still evoke real emotion. So I understand being hardline against it for emotional reasons. I do think it's a bit inevitable. It seems like parts of AI are too useful as a functional logistic tool, kind of to your point, Bruce. So hopefully, yeah, the idealism is that it just liberates humans to work on the fun stuff, and then AI does all the BS. We'll see if it ends up that way. I think, there's also just the job loss aspect, but that's technology throughout the ages. It's a labor multiplier. And when labor gets multiplied, you don't need as many people powering it. Okay, so here's the next one. And this one is spicier and relates more to Gordon Code and Chanty. Should ideology factor into awards for art?
This is like, Lawrence, this question is one for the ages.
This is a timeline. Yeah, there's really no right answer, right? But everyone feels like there's a correct answer until you think about it a little bit.
This is it's the biggest gray area that I feel like you could ever come up with. And the thing I always say on my stream and everything else that I've always said on Inside Games is the line is up to you personally. So you draw the line wherever you want to draw the line. So if you don't want to support J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter stuff going forward, because again, she makes a little piece of whatever you pay into a Harry Potter merch, or you go to Universal Studios and go to the Harry Potter world. If you don't want to support her because of her views, then that's up to you. If you don't want to support, I think it's like Chick-fil-A for donating to anti-LGBTQ organizations, that is up to you. And this is sort of the interesting thing about somebody like Mike Towndrow, who runs the Indie Game Awards. It ultimately is up to him. So he can decide. I have decided to draw the line at the fact that the metal being used for Chanty was also used at attack drones. Like, okay, well, he drew the line, and that affects the entire organization. So if you start your own Indie Game Awards organization and you decide that your line is nowhere and you want to celebrate every video game, doesn't matter how much AI it has in it, then you're good to do that. So it really truly is that, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. That's what everybody says. And it is really up to how ethically you want to become when you make these purchases.
Yes, yeah. You can always convince yourself that something you're doing is unethical or is related. Like, every action you take could potentially, somewhere a butterfly flaps wing away, cause suffering to happen in the world. So yeah, we all have to give ourselves permission to rattle around in this chaotic existence. And yeah, everyone decides where their line is. And in that way, I think it could have been done a lot better. I think, yeah, Gordon Code wisely points out that these Google searches should have happened before the awards were given out, especially since a lot of this stuff was out there and discoverable. So that's not great from just a awards show administration perspective. But who knows? Maybe they got more visibility because of it. Certainly putting out a statement and kind of speaking for themselves helps in that matter. So I appreciate that they're willing to make those decisions and retract them after the fact. Ideally, they'll be a little more consistent going forward. But yeah, I appreciate someone's willingness to stand on some kind of principle, even if it's one I don't agree with. But for me personally, I don't know. Bruce, we all know Game Awards shows have been a joke since I was snubbed of Trending Gamer 2015 at the Game Awards. And in case in point, something a little more topical, it is a bit silly already to begin with that games like Blue Prince or Hollow Knight Silksong are in the same category in terms of indie production value as Expedition 33. Just look up the credits for any of these games. Expedition 33's hundreds of people, but Blue Prince, Hollow Knight, like maybe 20 tops. It gets complicated because it's like, who actually counts? Is it everyone that worked on every aspect of localization at the publisher level? Maybe. But if we're talking about indie, that is and always has been a sort of vibes-based category. So we're already dealing with something that's not very prescriptive. Is it indie or is it not? I don't know what qualifies indie. You would think by most rights that Expedition 33, despite having an independent spirit, has the staff and the funding to not really be considered the same kind of achievement as a game straight up made by maybe 7 or 8 people, like Blue Prince or Hollow Knight Silksong. So it's silly all the way down. Art is made by people. Art awards shows are made by people. you've got 2 layers of people, and already it's not going to be a mathematical system. So that's kind of why I embrace, or I no longer try to point out the illogical aspects of some of these award shows. They're just going to be illogical. But you get some good drama about it and some good food for thought, which is, I think, the most valuable part, is thinking these issues over.
Poor Lawrence is still upset about missing out on Trending Gamer way back in 2015.
All they had to give me was that trophy. And Jeff could still go up there, be brave about it, stand on a principle, and retract Greg Miller's trophy and give it to me. It's not too late. We're both still alive. I'm sure Greg still has his trophy somewhere.
10 years later would be an amazing retraction if he just said, Game Awards 2026, he decided that you were the trending gamer for 2015 for some reason. Who knows why?
We know why. Everyone knows why in their heart of hearts. If Expedition 33 is an indie, then I can be trending gamer 2015.
Look, comments, just don't worry about it. Just say yes, Lawrence was trending gamer 2015. And we'd like to award trending gamer 2025 to you. That's right. Whoever you are, we're not sure who you are. Unless you think something we don't agree with, then we're going to take the award back. So if you used metal that Palmer Luckey used, it's gone. It's done. But we will look past any minor ideological differences if you subscribe to the channel. And then also, it will look past a bunch of differences if you sign up for the Patreon. If you sign up for the Patreon, we'll take your money. And if AI gave you that money, we'll still use it. No big deal. That's totally fine.
Oh yeah, we'll tell you all your ideas are great. We'll go from tolerance to acceptance to celebration. And the deal gets even better. You see, where this is negotiation, art of the deal here. You go to the Patreon, you get free memes. You don't even have to give us any money. The free memes are yours, and I bet the Indie Game Awards doesn't have free memes, so we got that on them. We'd like to take a moment to shout out some very brave gamers that already support us through Patreon. So thank you very much, Thane Fireblood, Zach DeHack, Splinkerton Forkendogen, Rattalog, and Nospimi99. Your trophies are in the mail. Wait a minute. No, sorry, the shipping company just posted an unsavory update on their website, so we're canceling that. We'll see if we can get them to you. Maybe maybe we can hire some nuns to carry them over, and they can pray the whole time.
Yeah.
And we'll offset the carbon, and we'll have to breed some insects that the fucking trucks hit along the way. There's a lot to think about. What if the delivery person tramples a flower? We're gonna have to replant it. Damn.